Thank you, Rabbi Singer, the entire Emanu-El community. I knew that I will be excited, but now I'm super, super excited after this beautiful service, really, mood. Thank you for having me this evening. So Rabbi Singer and the entire Emanu-El community, thank you for having me this evening. As I said, I'm super excited. And Jordan, hi Mom, it's that I just figured out that we are from my current hometown, Philadelphia, and we are both, there's a few more here I see. Besides both of us being a big fan of Am Israel, we're also a big fan of the Eagles, so this is. And actually, I feel a very strong, sense of belonging to this community as well, because of three other amazing women from this community that traveled with me to Ethiopia last May. Paula Pertlo, that my really life kohenet, which I know almost 10 years, Lily Cantor, and Joy Siski from the Jewish Federation of San Francisco. We all together traveled last May in Ethiopia to see, and hear and learn about the Ethiopian Jewish community in Ethiopia. And we also had this privilege to bring with us more than 200 Olim, immigrants from Ethiopia on the same flight. And at this visit in Ethiopia last May, we also had this opportunity to, to witness and to the work that, the amazing work that been done on the ground by many, many organizations. And one of the organizations is SSJ, with Simcha, the representative is here, and the Jewish Agency working closely with the with SSJ on the ground and other organizations. So it was very exciting for both of us to witness that. This week Parsha, as the rabbi mentioned, Truma, tells us how Israel people were commanded to build the Mishkan during their journey toward the Promised Land. The Mishkan is not the temple, it's not the Beit HaMikdash yet, right? And the desert is not the destination. The destination is the land of Israel, Jerusalem. So why do they need the Mishkan? Why they were commanded to build the Mishkan? Because the Mishkan is sort of Jerusalem at heart, Yerushalayim Shebalev. The Mishkan serves as a reminder reminder for all of us the ultimate goal that we strive to achieve. The Mishkan is also remind us of why we embark to a journey, to any journey, despite all the challenges that we might face on the way. But the Mishkan is also stands before us as a symbol of hope and resilience, fueling our determination to pass on toward a destiny, any destiny. And talking about destiny and journey, let me to share with you my story, which is my story, which I consider a typical Jewish story. It's a story of resilience and hope, and it's also as a story of yearning and longing to Jerusalem, to Zion. The Ethiopian Jewish community got to Ethiopia at the First Temple time period. Stayed in Ethiopia, were disconnected with the entire world Jewry, knowing that we are the only Jews on earth, and that one day we'll be back home to Jerusalem. We practice biblical Judaism, and as I said, knowing that we keep preserving our identity, our Jewish values, and the Judaism, and one day we'll be back home to Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the center of our life in Ethiopia. every and each aspect and act and step in our life in Ethiopia was about Jerusalem. Every Friday and every Shabbat, when my parents got back from the shul, we, the kids, ran before them, sat on the ground, waiting to hear this story about this heaven on earth Jerusalem. When every time that my siblings and myself, we play outside, and we saw the storks migrating north, we ran after them with a huge excitement, and we called, Shimela, Shimela, Agerachin Jerusalem Dena, meaning stork, stork, carry word of peace to our Holy Land in Jerusalem. And every year, the Ethiopian Jewish community celebrated the Sigal holiday, 50 days after Yom Kippur, which kind of a sort of communal Yom Kippur, second Yom Kippur, but now it's about the community that joined the efforts and praying to God that we listen to our prayer to bring us back home to Jerusalem. And at the end of the day, we climb to the top of the mountain, pray all day long, and at the end of the day, we wish each other that the next time that we'll see each other, meet each other, will be in Jerusalem. The state of mind of Ethiopian Jewish community and my parents wasn't Leshana Ba'a B'Yerushalayim, meaning next year in Jerusalem, but rather today, now, every moment, we might go to Jerusalem. So when we understand that this was the state of mind and the way of life of Ethiopian Jewish community, I understood why my parents, when they heard that there is a way to Jerusalem, it was in the early 18th, and it just was a rumor. They said, leave your villages in Ethiopia, pass the border, come to Sudan, and from Sudan you might have way. For my parents, it was enough. It was enough. They left everything that they had, literally everything, the land, the assets, the language, the safe zone that they had, and they started this crazy journey from Ethiopia to Sudan and then to Israel. From the last village in Ethiopia to Sudan, it took us 5.5 weeks. We walked during the night and rest during the day. And after 5.5 weeks, we got to Sudan border. There we met the Israeli agents that operated the operation. It was a secret operation at that time. And other Jewish families that came there waiting to fulfill 2,500 years dream. In Sudan, which was in a kind of a death trap because many Jews that survived the journey lost their life there in this hard condition of a refugee in Sudan. We waited there 6 months. And one night, it was Shabbat Chanukah. During Shabbat dinner, we were having our, now, we were having, with the little that we had, our Shabbat dinner. My mother held my baby sister on her back, served us the dinner. We were surrounding the table. And in the middle of the table was the dabo, the Ethiopian challah. And we had very basic, Shabbat discussion. And then, all of a sudden, someone opened up our door in a very brutal way and asked us, Allah Chuhun in Amharic, meaning, are you still here? We looked at each other, we looked my father, and then we realized that there was a flight that night, and we were the last family, the only family that left behind. The entire Jewish communities and the families were on their way to the airplane place where the airplane landed, and we just left everything as it is. The luggage that we brought with us from Ethiopia, the hot food on the table. At the last minute, my mom grabbed the dabo, the challah, and we just followed this guy. And after a while, I don't know the estimate how long it took us, we got to kind of a forest. Then we waited there another a few minutes, and then the big bird, what in my eyes at that time looked like a big bird, but it was the airplane landed, and we were within 12 minutes. That's it. That's what it took. More than 300 people that were into the airplane, and we got off, and after 4.5 hours, we were above Jerusalem. We dreamed 2,500 years to be at, and the airplane landed, and all of us like got off of the plane and kissed this, the earth that we, as I said, dreamed to be at, which was, in a way, was the end of one journey, but the beginning of another journey in Israel. Fast forward 32 years, it was the first time for me to understand, for the first time, the essence of my parents' story and the essence of this journey, 2,500 years journey. It was in 2016 when my daughter Shachar celebrated her bat mitzvah. And for this special occasion, since my husband is from Polish background and myself, we wanted her to feel, to experience this beautiful combination of kibbutz galuyot in Israel today. So we built her a year plan that every month we did something. And the highlight of this plan was to take her to a roots trip to Ethiopia. So we visited a mother and daughter trip to Ethiopia. And the first week we visited the last 3 villages that my parents left, passed in their journey. And the first village was Mereva, the village where I was born. Beautiful village, located in a valley, surrounded by volcanic mountains. Beautiful view, really. And we drove there 4.5 hours. That's what it took us from the closest township to Mereva. And the minute that we got to the entrance of the village, we were surrounded by dozens of villagers that come up to see who are those crazy people that came to this remote village. No one, it's like northwest Ethiopia into the mountains. No one came there before. But I stood there. First, I was amazed by the village and the people that welcome us so warmly, but so many questions that come up to my mind. I stood there. Shachar, my daughter, was next to me on my right side. I looked at this beautiful, view, the river that my old childhood based on was in front of us. And the right side, what used to be my parents' neighborhood. First, I asked myself, why? Why my parents left this beautiful way of life and started this, crazy journey, endangering my life, my siblings' life, their own life. And second, I tried to, I looked left and right and tried to guess how they knew which way would lead them to Jerusalem. There's no any sign or something that say the way to Jerusalem, right? I mean, it was, again, as I said, valley located by surrounded by volcanic mountains, forest all around. And third, I even asked myself, what for? What for? Why to risk your life in this way? All these questions keep in my mind, staying in my mind. And 2 weeks after we were back to Israel, Shachar and myself, I know, although this is the journey issue at our home is taboo, we are not talking about the journey 40 years, I felt that I need to ask my mom these questions. So during Shabbat morning, 2 weeks after we were back, we were at my mom's home, and I decided to open up these questions. And I asked her, Mom, listen, we've been there. Beautiful place, amazing people. And you waited there 2,500 years. You could stay there a few more years, right? Until to be safe here. Why to endanger my life, my sibling life, your own life? And my parents, we lost one of my brother on the way. We just buried him on the way and keep going toward Jerusalem. And with the Israeli chutzpah, I even told her, you see, and you lost one of your sons. And she looked at me and she said, what do you think? What for we lived in Ethiopia? To be more rich, to be more satisfied with our economical life, to travel around the world. What for we lived in Ethiopia? We had only one dream, one vision, one destiny. And it was Jerusalem. So when we heard that there is a way to Jerusalem, for us it wasn't a question of if. It was a question of how we are going to fulfill even the tiny, small chance that we have. And she told me, you see, my parents dreamed this dream. My grandparents, my great-grandparents for generations. And no one had this opportunity, this chance, this privilege to try to fulfill this dream. And we had. So we are that not to, to miss this opportunity. For me, it was the first time in my life. I was almost 40 years old, with 4 kids, consider myself very involved and, a social activist in the Israeli society, doing many things. But it was the first time in my life to understand my parents' story. And it was the first time in my life to understand the Ethiopian Jewish community narrative. Because until that time, I felt like if my mother doesn't speak the Hebrew, if my mother doesn't involve in she's not involved in the Western way of life, so for sure she doesn't have nothing to contribute to me. I need to look for other leaders to be like and to learn from. But by this simple but so deep answer of my mom, I understood that my motivation to do Tikkun Olam in my natural world all my life was started in Meribah. It started, in the journey from Ethiopia to Sudan and then to Israel. And I absorbed that in my mom's home. I say mom because my father died a year and a half after we were out to Israel. And a week before October 7th, I was interviewed to a series about Israel, as Israel society. And the interviewer asked me, why your parents made Aliyah? And first I didn't understand why he asking me so obvious question, right? But I think that the answer became much clearer and brighter after October 7th. For me and for my mom, my parents, and the entire Ethiopian and other Jews, Israel is the home. For me, Israel is the only home where I feel, that I can practice my Judaism, my identity. I can be, whomever I am. As a Jew, I can, celebrate my identity as a Jew, as an Israeli, as an Ethiopian, as a woman, as a black woman in Israel, freely and proudly. Israel is a place, actually, is one of the Israel society, I would say, and the Jewish community in general, I would say, is one of the most diverse community and society, culturally, racially, in so many aspects. Yes, Israel is not a perfect country, never has been, and we have so much challenges that we are still working to fix and to do better in Israel. But at the same time, I would say that we have so many achievements, and so much to, that we can and we should be proud of. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Wow.